Hey, everybody, this is Heidi St. John. Welcome to Off the Bench. You guys have found me at my little corner of the internet. Today is Wednesday, the 6th of April, and today we're going to take a little bit of a look at the headlines and talk about why Disney is going for woke. Stick around. I think you're going to be encouraged. All right, you guys, so a couple things before I get started. We're going to talk a little bit about the biblical citizenship class that's coming up. We just started that this last Sunday here at the Homeschool Resource Center, and we have decided to make the biblical citizenship class available to those of you who are listening to the podcast so that it can be heard nationwide. So we're going to host it in person here at Firmly Planted Family, and we're going to stream it for you on Sunday. So that starts on Sundays at 3 p.m. Pacific time. I'm going to link back to the registration link in the show notes today. I hope you guys will join us. It's going to be a tremendous opportunity for you to really just engage with your community. Bring some people over, invite them to your house, watch Biblical Citizenship with us live as we host it here at Firmly Planted Family. Rick Green is going to join me for a couple of those, and we're going to answer your questions at the end of the broadcast. But again, it's biblical citizenship. You guys are going to love this. We're going to talk about the Constitution. We're going to talk about why it's so important that we engage the church especially, but that we engage in civics. We have just gotten to the point where we don't engage anymore, and we have reached a point in our country where we are now at a crisis. And so this is basically an apologetic for why the church should be involved in civics. And so check it out, Biblical Citizenship. If you've got teenagers in your home, this is an awesome opportunity. Again, we have decided to open this up, so we will have it available for anyone who wants to stream it to their home, and that is free on Sundays at 3 p.m. Next Sunday, I will be giving you guys the schedule. There are a couple of them. One of them we're going to miss, which is Mother's Day. And then there are a couple that I'm actually going to be going longer because of my schedule. So rather than have it go 8 weeks, it's only going to go 6 weeks, and 2 of those classes are going to be longer than the regular class. So typically it's going to start at 3 p.m. Pacific time and be over about 4:30. And on those 2 days, we'll add another class to it. So we're very excited. Anyway, again, Biblical Citizenship. You guys don't miss this opportunity to join me live on Sundays starting at 3 p.m. All right, so lots of things happening in the news. You guys heard me probably do a Facebook Live that's been seen a whole bunch of times now from Round Rock, Texas, where I was at to speak for Teach Them Diligently. By the way, for those of you who have never been to a homeschool conference, this is a wonderful time to do it. We are helping these conference organizers recover from 2.5 years of lost income and lost opportunity, and you're going to get encouraged. You're going to be blessed. I will be again with Teach Them Diligently in Round Rock at Pigeon Forge with my friend Kirk Cameron. It's going to be a phenomenal weekend. You are not going to want to miss it. Also, I am speaking with Kirk at the Answers Center and the Creation Museum, the Ark Encounter. You're not going to want to miss that either. That's the first full week in May, and you can check out where I will be at HeidiSt.John.com/events. When I was in Round Rock, I did a video on Disney and what's happening with Disney right now. If you guys are paying attention to this at all, then you know Disney has decided that they're the ones who are in charge of your kids, and they're going to tell parents essentially what is right and what is wrong when it comes to the education and the upbringing of their children. So Disney, a long time ago, decided to get into the culture wars, right? If you go to Disneyland and you go to any of their shops, you'll see that they have a lot of homosexual things on display and for sale in their stores. They're not just entertaining kids anymore. They're trying to influence them. That is the issue. That is why parents are so angry. And a couple of weeks ago, one of the Disney executives came out and said that she had a child who was transgender and another child who considered themselves to be pansexual. And she said, absolutely, this is the agenda that Disney is now pushing. There's a really interesting article in Fox News right now, and I'll link back to it in the show notes today, that basically just interviews several families who are reconsidering their previously Disney-friendly stance in their homes or in their lives. And this includes their movies, their streaming service, the theme parks, of course, the cruise lines, and other offerings from the giant, this media conglomerate, which is Disney. It's partly because of Disney's CEO. So this dude, Bob, I think it's Chapek, has opposed a new bill that was just signed into law this week by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. This was known as the Parental Rights in Education Bill, an actually genius move by the governor of Florida to tell parents, you are the ones who are in charge of your kids' education. We are not going to indoctrinate them. So the law in Florida, it prohibits teachers there from instructing very young students, those in kindergarten through third grade, about gender identity and sexual orientation. Now, you'd think that that's just a no-brainer, right? Yes, we don't want you talking to kindergartners and first and second and third graders about sexual orientation and gender identity, which, by the way, is garbage from start to finish. So initially, Chapek had not taken a public stance on it, but some people believe he ultimately caved because there is a minority of far-left workers at Disney who are upset about the new law. So he decides to go on record and make a statement on behalf of Disney. And this is where the frustration really just boiled over. So here's the tweet that Disney sent out, and I'll link back to it in the show notes today. But they put out a statement regarding the Parents' Rights in Education bill. So it's Florida's bill HB, so House Bill 1557, known as the Don't Say Gay bill, should have never passed and should never have been signed into law. Our goal as a company, remember this is Disney, our goal as a company is for this law to be repealed by the legislature or struck down in the courts, and we remain committed to supporting the national and state organizations working to achieve that. We are dedicated to standing up for the rights and safety of LGBTQ plus members of the Disney family, as well as the LGBTQ plus community in Florida and those across the country. But it's not just this. Disney World and Disneyland have also decided to ban the use of gender greetings within their parks. So when you used to go to Disney, you'd hear, good morning, boys and girls. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Nope. Nobody that works for Disney can utter those terms anymore because they do not believe that gender is a thing. So these instances and more of their left-leaning policies are why some concerned parents and grandparents and others have changed or are revising their views of Disney. And so the opinions that you are hearing coming out from really because Disney is there supposed to be anyway for children, right? So we take our children there and they can interact with Mickey Mouse and they can meet Donald Duck and they can go on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride and experience Alice in Wonderland, right? But now Disney has decided that they are going to promote a homosexual LGBTQ plus lifestyle, including banning the words boys and girls and ladies and gentlemen from their park. It's ridiculous. Some of you guys remember Patty Garibay. She is the director and founder of the American Heritage Girls. She's been on my show a couple of times. She went online to say why she felt this was an amazing opportunity for people to just void their household of everything Disney. She explained, and I'm quoting, Walt Disney the most often cited his most important lesson as that of, quote, goodwill always triumphs over evil. Today's Disney promotes a full spectrum of lifestyles that rarely align with biblical values of good and evil, which God calls us to. Patty continued, it has been said before and it bears saying again, Walt would turn over in his grave to see what this beloved company has begun. She also said it's no longer a safe haven for families to promote good over evil, but rather an environment without a moral compass. Christians should wake up to the fact that this isn't your grandmother's Disney. In fact, she said, Disney is now devoted to confusing your children. That's absolutely true. And you guys heard me say this in my Facebook Live the other day. It's really important. We have an opportunity right now to make a choice. And a lot of the way that we do that in the United States and around the world, but particularly here, is we vote with our checkbook. We vote with our wallet. And so I've been telling people, listen, just like I'm telling you, pull your kids out of these government schools that are confusing our children and telling them that down is up and up is down and they evolve from an ape and their gender is just something that they think about in their head and can change whenever they want to. We are doing irreparable harm to our children. And you can put Disney in that category now as well, doing irreparable harm to our children. And what's sad about this is they are attracting children, right? That's the whole purpose of Walt Disney, is to attract children. So their brand new movie, Red, which I'll talk about probably next Monday because I'm going to answer a question from a listener about it. It does what Disney has been doing now for decades, which is to make the parents look stupid, to promote promote ideologies inside their movies in a very underhanded way. So by the time your kid wakes up to this reality that he's changed his thinking, the parents don't even know what happened. And so I told parents, stop giving your money to Disney. If you don't like what they're doing, you actually have a vote in this, and you vote with your checkbook. So I've already heard from a whole bunch of you who had Disney vacations planned this year, and you're doing something different. And I would love to encourage you. There are lots of other places besides Disney that are great places to vacation with your kids. Go to the Ark Encounter, for goodness sake. I'm going to be there with Kurt Cameron. The first full week of May, we're doing 2 homeschool experience conferences are going to be fantastic. If you've never been to the Ark Encounter, you're totally missing out. Your kids will love it. And not only are they going to love it, it's going to build them up, not tear them down. And that's what Disney is doing, right? We've taken our kids to Dollywood. They love that. Take your kids to Colonial Williamsburg, for goodness sake. Take them to Jamestown and Yorktown. Go and visit the homes of past presidents. Take them to the warfields of Gettysburg. Teach them the history of this country. There are a lot of places that you can spend your money that are not devoted to confusing your children. And that's all I got to say about that. I would love to see the parents in this country start to take back the education of their children and become the primary influence in their lives instead of just being swept away by the culture, which is exactly what we've been doing for a very long time. Also in the news, I think this is fascinating. 3 states right now, I believe it's up to Arizona, Louisiana, and Missouri, have filed suit to block the Biden administration from lifting Title 42. So if you're not familiar with 42, this was instituted under the Trump administration. This enabled border enforcement to summarily expel millions of illegal aliens who attempted to enter the country at the southern border. And Biden has set to let this order be lifted on May 23rd, at which time DHS estimates that the already overwhelming influx at the southern border may increase to as many as 18,000 apprehensions a day. 18,000. We basically have a crisis of epidemic proportions on our southern border, and we have a weak administration who doesn't seem to care that America is not a nation without a border. So on Sunday, the attorney generals of these 3 states filed a civil suit in federal court in Louisiana. So the suit names right now the CDC, the HHS, the DHS, ICE, and the DOJ, along with their directors and President Biden, as defendants, and is asking the court for relief from this impending humanitarian and security disaster. Quote, the suit challenges an imminent man-made, self-inflicted calamity, the abrupt elimination of the only safety valve preventing this administration's disastrous border policies from devolving into an unmitigated chaos and catastrophe, reads the complaint. DHS Secretary Mayorkas claims that this department has, quote, put in place a comprehensive whole of government strategy to manage any potential increase in the number of migrants encountered at the border. However, many are incredulous that this is even possible, including the Democrats. So the suit is noting that one unnamed Democrat senator is observing that this is the wrong direction. It's clear that the administration's lack of a plan to deal with the crisis is going to make the problem at our southern border even worse than it already is. You guys, it's very important that we have this conversation as a country. I have traveled all over the world with my husband, and I'm telling you what, there isn't a country in its right mind that just lets people come across the border. They want to see your passport, and if you're there to work, they want to see your visa. They want to know when you're coming in. What are you doing there? When are you planning on leaving? People that care about their country care about the border. And this is just another attempt at the Biden administration to erode what is happening in our country. The security that we've got right now at our southern border is absolutely frightening. And when they say 18,000 people a day, imagine what that's going to do when we try to adjudicate these, when we try to send people, Biden lifted the stay in Mexico policy that Trump had put in place. We are facing an incredible, unprecedented disaster at our southern border because we have a crisis in leadership. And I've been talking about this for a long time. And unless and until we can start to say, you know what, we're going to get off the bench and onto the battlefield and elect better leaders who actually care about this country, I don't see this getting better anytime soon. This is why the 2022 elections are so incredibly important. This is why it's absolutely critical that we begin to have a conversation as a country about what makes a country. So the complaint that was filed against the Biden administration also slams the decision because it's purportedly based on rapidly improving COVID-19 conditions. But the administration says, and I quote, "It is not seen fit elsewhere to act upon these improvements for, by example, lifting the mask mandates on airline travel, or loosening or repealing their vaccination mandates, or ending their relentless campaign to discharge members of our military who have applied for religious exemptions for vaccination requirements. These have almost all been uniformly denied." I met an incredible man last week at Round Rock where I was speaking. He's been in the Army for 30 years. He had a nearly fatal reaction to the flu shot years ago. And back in the 90s, they said, you can never have another vaccine. Your body doesn't respond well to it. And guess what? The Army is denying his medical exemption and trying to force him to get an experimental vaccine, which is the COVID-19 vaccine. This is wrong. And all of this stuff is coming from the Biden administration. So the revocation of Title 42 is basically just a radical outlier, seemingly the only COVID-19 based restriction that the administration sees fit to end. And the only reason they're doing that is because they want to see an absolutely unmitigated immigration disaster happen at the border. This is wrong. And so, you guys, this is the time for us to be praying for our country, because I think what we're going to see, if he is successful, is we're going to see storms of illegal aliens on the border, and this is going to hurt the United States, including our active military. And so this is the time for us to be in prayer and to watch what's happening. Talk to your relatives, talk to your friends about what's going on in the country. Forever and ever, we have taken this stance of, well, that's somebody else's problem. That's only our leadership problems. But we are the ones who put those leaders in place, and we've got to do a better job. So I'm going to encourage you guys to check out what's happening with Disney, revoke your Disney memberships, turn off Disney Plus, stop sending money to organizations and people who are intent on confusing and doing what I would call irreparable harm to our young people. Now is the time, and you have a tremendous opportunity to make a difference. Find another place to go this summer and send your money there. And let's send Disney a message loud and clear that when you go woke, you go broke. Thanks for listening to everybody. I appreciate it. As always, we want you to leave reviews for the podcast wherever podcasts are streamed, particularly at Apple. And now you can see these on video, obviously, over at Rumble and YouTube when they decide to leave my videos up. And we want to see your reviews for the books wherever my books are sold. We appreciate you guys so much. Keep sending me your letters. I want to hear from you. You can send them to me at HeidiSt.John.com/mailbox Monday. That is the place where you can send your letters, and I will answer those questions online. Remember, keep those questions short and sweet and to the point. Send me your off-the-bench stories. Tell me what God's doing in your life and in your neck of the woods, and I will read those stories right here at the podcast on Monday. Have a great day, everybody, and I will see you back here tomorrow at the intersection of faith and